gentlemen, please help me welcome our niche market.
Wow. Hey, everybody. It's Mike Isaacson, the artistic director and executive producer of the Muny. How joyous to see that again. Welcome to our weekly cast party reunion specials we're doing here at the Muny. And so amazing to see so many people here already. My God. Hi, Liz. Hey, Horsley. Hey, Bobby. So many. So we moved it to Tuesday. Hope everybody had a good Memorial Day. And so today, obviously, we're going to reunite Kinky Boots, which was part of our 101st season. Let me do some of the credits here. For those of you, to remind you, the book was by Harvey Farstein, music and lyrics by Cyndi Lauper, And for our production, the scenic design was by the amazing Michael Schweikart. The costume design was Greg Barnes, who did the Broadway costumes. The lighting design was by our own Nathan Scherer. The original wigs were Josh Marquette, with some help from our amazingly talented local Kelly Jordan. The video design was by Sean Dwan. And of course, the music direction by Ryan Fielding Garrett. And our amazing production stage manager, Nancy Pittleman, were sort of the creative team behind this production. This was a Muny premiere, you remember? And I think we were one of the first in the country to do the show after its incredibly successful Broadway run of 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know. And I just will never forget how the Muny audience just embraced and hugged this show and just took it to their hearts and loved it so much. So we're going to begin by bringing in the two sort of ringleaders who helped us create it on our stage. Please welcome, let's bring in the director, D.B. Bonds, and the choreographer, Rusty Mowery. Gentlemen.
Hi, Mike.
Hi,
D.B. Hello.
Full heart.
Hi, Rusty. All right, Mike.
So first of all, for everybody, I'm starting with everybody. Tell us, DB, start with you, DB. Where are you and how are you?
I am in Isle of Palm, South Carolina, at my family's sort of beach house, and I'm doing fine, grateful and healthy.
Great. And Rusty, how about you?
I'm in my apartment on West 73rd Street. Everything. Can you hear me? Yeah. On West 73rd Street here in New York City, and everything is good. I've been healthy, very lucky, very fortunate.
Fantastic. Now, Kinky Boots at the Muny was interesting because generally as a whole, we create all the productions are created new, direction, choreography. For a variety of reasons, foremost being that I love and knew everybody a part of the original Broadway production and close with Hal and close with Jerry. We all mutually decided, hey, let's sort of use the Muny production to recreate that work. So it was Jerry's direction and choreography. And can you two talk about like how you work with him on his shows and sort of how that works?
Sure. I mean, particularly Kinky Boots. I mean, you know, Jerry's really and all his shows. I mean, since we've done some other ones with him as well, he's so inclusive. He's so, you know, he's big on letting people know that we're his associates and not his assistants. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's very collaborative with us. You know, we're sort of like, he'll say we're his sounding board. You know, we're there to give our honest opinion. He wants our honest opinion. He doesn't want to, you know, us to just say yes to him. He wants to know what we think. And I mean, you've been in a room with Jerry, so you know what a joyous room he creates, and an inclusive room and a collaborative room he creates. But both, I mean, Rusty was involved in Kinky Boots before I was. I came in the last workshop of Kinky Boots. Rusty, you were there before then.
So Rusty, tell everybody like what DB's talking about, like what is a workshop and what is that process?
Yeah, that process, it was a long one actually with Kinky Boots. I think we did 2 full like lab kind of workshop-y productions. First was we started with a choreography workshop, which means we get in a room, you know, I'm in a room with Jerry and some dancers, and we're creating steps, choreography, working with Stephen Arimas, who is our orchestrator, music arranger, and Cindy and Harvey, as we sort of like, you know, flesh out basically an idea for a number. And what's that going to sound like? You know, Cindy wrote a song, and then there's no dance music until Jerry starts making up the steps and working with Stephen in the room, and they start creating basically the sound of the show. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. Oh my gosh, I've never been so sore in my life. And we come up with some amazing things, and a lot of it stayed in that room. You know, just because as the piece, it's really just figuring out the story, you know, and how not only with, you know, the text, the songs and the lyrics, but how the movement informs and keeps the story going forward. So there's a lot of trial and error, and hopefully not too much error. We get rid of the errors pretty quickly, actually.
So,
But that's where it starts to breathe, you know, and you start to see, oh, it's off the page now. And
yeah, I mean, one of the joys of working with the two of you on this, one of the many joys, and supporting was when it came to casting and sort of doing it, you two got to do sort of a greatest hits because you'd worked with everybody on Broadway and on the national tours. So it was really fun sitting around because you were like kids on Christmas morning, like, oh, let's call so-and-so or let's do this. And you sort of just, you know, assembled this sort of incredible group of artists and people who had all done the show somewhere in its life. But when you got to the challenge of, okay, we got to do this at the Muny, what was that experience like, and what's your memory of it, and outside of me?
well, of course, mostly you.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Rusty and I talked about it so much before we did it, because I mean, we did 9 productions of Kinky Boots. We did Broadway, national tour, London, Germany, Japan, Korea, Australia, Taranto. I mean, you know, we knew the show like the back of our hand, which was oftentimes, I think, a blessing when you're working so quickly at the Muny, but also in a way a curse, because sometimes it's easier just to totally reinvent rather than to go, wait a minute, you know, we're short circuiting right now because, you know, we know this piece so well, but we can't do this here. So, you know, how do we, when, like you said, you mentioned Michael Schweikart, you know, the physical production was, you know, with the choreography and the direction was there, but the physical production, just because of the Muny scale, but the design was different. So, I mean, for me, I kind of said to, and I know Rusty said the same thing to Michael. We were like, you know, please push us. You're new here, you know, to the show. I want your push my envelope. You know, get me out of my comfort zone of what I think has to happen here. You know, and as you also mentioned, the cast, you know, the greatest hits, it was also important for us to have some people mixed in there who had never done the show before as well, which was such a lovely conglomeration of the greatest hits, and of the people who had done it for so long or so many times got to look across at another principal actor who had never done it before and immediately go, oh, well, if you're going to do that, then I guess I'm going to do this, you know. So it was important for me to ask for, you know, push me, get me out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, as far as the casting goes, it really felt like this crazy, amazing family reunion, because we had, you know, we had just closed the Broadway production, what was that, in April. And, you know, here we are, it was just like, oh, this is so great. And it felt so right just to have like all these people we love coming back. And it was sort of like, yes, we don't want to let go of this amazing experience. And then adding in the new blood, like DB said, just because God knows that's a big stage and you got to fill it up with some folks. It was really, it was just, you know, it's that amazing thing about the Muny. You know, it's this amazing camp experience. And you know, this was my 3rd time working at the Muny. My last time was putting up Legally Blonde, a show you might have heard of, Mike. I don't know. But what I loved about it was it challenges you to, at least for me, because the choreography, even though we're using Jerry's steps, it has to be blown up to such a scale. So I was kind of prepping DB because he had worked at the Muny as an actor, and I was like, okay, this is going to like blow the box wide open, because the Muny, we can pretty much almost do anything there. It's pretty amazing what you can do at the Muny. So just let your imagination run wild and kind of, take those chains off. And well, you were in some of those meetings, some of the crazy ideas we came up with.
Now, I think we're trying this for the first time this week. Joe Hartman, who's the producer on this, I think he can show us some set photos. Joe, can we look at some of the set photos? There we go. So there you go. Now
amazing.
That's a Muny moment. That's sort of.
There you go.
There you go. And
gorgeous.
God, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, look at that sky too. Are you kidding me with this?
I know.
Next one. Okay, there's Carolyn and Graham. And yeah, we had those backing units.
Yeah.
And there was that central unit that was the factory.
Right.
Yep.
And those two new walls on either side with the huge like barn doors at the lower level under those windows in the back. It was amazing to have those, especially in Sexes in the Heel, so the angels could like make a surprise entrance through those. It was really incredible.
And the way those video walls like blend in sort of with the physical pieces. So that, I mean, it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. The designers did such a beautiful job.
All right. Brilliant. Good cut, Joe. All right. So
well done.
I know. Hey, that was the first. We're like, wait, we can show photos?
Hey, it worked.
Everyone's figuring it out because we're all broadcasting now.
You're Ryan Seacrest now, Mike. You're like
oh, gee, Dave.
Kelly and Ryan. That's right.
I'm surprised you haven't. Do you remember the one request, the one request I made, the one non-negotiable that I had for the production? Do you remember this?
Well, I do because it just made me smile so much when I just watched the end of that piece before when we came on. When all of those kids that's what you're talking about, right?
We were in that meeting and you were like,
and
I was like, yes, can we do this? Can we do this? Yes, 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 yes. I'm like, I've got something I want. And you were like, okay. I'm like, we have to have the Muny kids in the curtain call. And you were like, done. I was like, yes.
I mean, it was magical.
I know, it was the best thing ever.
Magical.
It really was. In hindsight now, I wish we had had 20 more of them because it was just like, I remember sitting there on the first night and like seeing them come at me, and I was like, oh my God, I had tears, first of all.
Yeah, no, I cried every night. Yeah.
I was exhausted, but it was so beautiful.
And the cast's joy at them joining them and, to the bigger idea of the show and the gift it gives the audience. You're kidding me. It's crazy. All right, let's bring in some more of our friends. I think we have our two.
Who the heck do you have?
Leading men / ladies. We've got Jay Harrison G and Graham Scott Fleming. Yay!
Hi, guys.
Hi, boys.
It's so good to see your faces.
Oh, it's so good.
Hey,
Graham, we're just seeing you. You got to turn your video on, babe.
You can do it.
He'll try.
Hit the video button. You can do it. Wait,
Jay,
look what I have from Tokyo.
Yes.
I'm prepped. I am so COVID safe.
Amazing.
I love that.
Are they doing the show in Tokyo? Right?
I have been wearing it.
Oh my God.
It's going to come back for the third time. It'll come back. This was from April last year. They gave us these. Yeah. Right. Who knew?
Jay, how are you and where are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm in my apartment in New York City.
Good. My memory is when all this happened, you were in previews for Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway, right?
I was. We got 3 previews in, and then we got locked down.
So I would say that you made Muny history. I've been going to every night when not every night, two or three of the nights when you finished your second act song, the applause just didn't stop. And people yelled out, "We love you, Lola."
Yeah.
They were screaming that at the top of the lungs. And I just have to, what was that like? That experience of just you and that moment. And that dress.
It was definitely a moment of a lifetime. And also, Even the production photos that were taken of the show, and to see myself standing on that stage and just like me in that dress, and Under the Stars, and singing a song like Hold Me in Your Heart to thousands of people like that, and for them to be affected and to have reached at least one of them, I mean, my heart every night just melted. It was unbelievable.
Well, I thought also what was interesting when you talk about the, people who've done the show before, and then there were people in the company who'd been to the Muny before, so they sort of knew the drill. But the thing I noticed, everybody was, I'm not going to say afraid, but apprehensive about the scope, like who I am in my performance, will it get through?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you at the opening night party, and you were like, it was like being in a black box. They were right there. There's like no fourth wall, the intensity of that. But the show has always created that with this audience, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, having the experience of, I've done it around the world. I've done it on tour and did it on Broadway and then at the Muny. And the show really does reach audiences in such a way that I always have said in my experience of Kinky Boots, if you leave Kinky Boots and don't have a smile on your face or you don't feel anything, you don't have a heart.
It's true.
Because the show reaches everyone on some kind of level that it's undeniable. It really is.
Yeah. So everybody who's watching is going nuts that you're here today. They're all screaming, "Lola was amazing. I loved you as Lola."
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And I felt it every night.
And gang, Jen Perry has joined the party.
Oh, God.
Jen.
Buckle up, kids. Buckle
Here's
up.
one for Jen.
Get ready, everyone.
Oh, God.
For those watching, Jen was in this production, and she played, what's her character's name? Sorry.
Trish.
Trish.
Yeah.
And just joy to have in the show. Okay, so Graham is still trying to find his way in, but we have a little video clip to show of you,
Love it.
Graham here. Can we show the clip, Joe?
I'm not my father's son. I'm not the image of what he dreamed of. With the strength of Spartan and the patience of Job, still couldn't be the one to echo what he'd done and mirror what was not in me. We're the same, Charlie boy, you and me. Charlie from Northampton, meet Simon from Clacton. Let's make boots.
Why would y'all do that to me right now? Oh,
There he is.
There he is.
You
Of
made
course.
Hello, Graham.
Graham. Hi, guys.
Hi, Graham. How are
I
you?
miss you all
Where
so
are you?
much.
Where are you?
I am at my sister's in London, Ontario. We finally just got sunshine, got rid of the snow last week, and now I'm all rosy.
No. Oh, my God. No. Oh, my God.
I know. It's crazy.
So
How are you guys?
the two of you just broke our hearts with that ballad.
ugh.
Literally, I popped on at the right time. That's one of my favorite songs in the show. And of course, like listening to Jay's voice just makes me miss everything.
Well, I mean, but talk about the
Oh.
song in the moment, because, I mean, from studying the show or learning about it every night from you, it was so interesting that the show has this velocity and this energy, yet that is a moment that sort of clears something away for the audience. And, I mean, how did you two create that?
I mean, especially with DB and Rusty, but working with Jay, especially for me, coming from the beginning to that moment, I'm kind of all running around the place, and to get to just sit and listen to Lola's story, listen to Jay tell that story. It's finally a peaceful moment for Charlie to just, finally take a minute and listen to somebody else's perspective, listen to where he's come from. And it's actually our first time that Charlie understands, like Charlie is able to connect with him on a deeper level other than just trying to make some meals.
Yeah, and it was definitely easy to do that on stage because Graham and I had moments like that off stage, where even in the short amount of time that we were in St. Louis, like we took time to go sit and just be the two of us and just talk and to be transparent and to connect with each other as human beings so that we could allow that to transfer on stage.
Amazing. All right, so BB and Rusty, we're going to bid you adieu. By way of kicking you off the island.
So sorry.
This was so great.
So great to see you. Be safe.
I miss you, Mike. Stay safe. Graham, I love you. Jay, I love you both.
I love
With all
you
my heart.
guys.
DB, I love you.
And now we're going to welcome Taylor Louderman, Paul Whitty, and Carolyn Bowman.
Woo!
Hey!
Hi. Hi, guys.
All right, I'm going to go for my screen. Carolyn, where are you and how are you?
I am in Delaware at my parents' beach house, which is lovely. I am good, as good as you can be right now.
Right.
I'm happy to see your faces, man. Oh, gosh, it's bringing me so much joy.
Paul, where and how are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm down in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans in my home, my little music room, which is a mess with Amelie's toys. So, yeah.
And Taylor?
I'm in Missouri. I'm about an hour and a half from the Muny at my parents' home.
Great. So I will confess that one of my favorite things when I hit a wall is I watch the end of the clip when at the show when Gee's doing the one through the truth, whatever that is, and you're all in it. And not only is it a beautiful, but the sense of camaraderie and confidence that you all have in doing that, in saying that, it's mind-blowing. And there was such a freedom about it. And I'm going to start with you, Carolyn. I mean, you've been on the Muny stage before, but coming there and doing that show and knowing the part, because you'd played the part on Broadway, I believe. What was that experience like?
Well, I mean, just going from doing the show on Broadway, we had only closed the show a couple months prior. So just knowing that we were going to be spreading this message in a bigger way, literally, was just so exciting. And what was so cool is that I don't really think our performances changed that much, like because we what's so special about the Muny is that you can be honest in a theater with how many people? 10,000 people?
Yeah.
Is it 10,000? I mean, the fact that like the message is so clear and in this, especially in this show, we didn't have to project more. We didn't have to do anything extra to sell this message loud and clear, to scream it from the rooftops. It was just like, and it was so magical to be able to do it in such a large capacity. And the fact that it was like still like the same, we're still doing the same show that we did on Broadway at the Muny. It's just, I think it speaks volumes to what Kinky Boots means to us and to everyone. And I was honored to do it there and on Broadway as well.
Paul, how about you?
Well, I didn't do it on Broadway. My only time ever having done Kinky Boots was at the Muny, and so I was thrown in with everyone having done the show before, which was like very exciting and cool and different for me. I always feel, it's such a blessing to be a part of anything, any family, you know, and to be sort of, you know, welcomed in very openly. And, you know, there wasn't a, you know, I know Danny Sherman very well. Danny and I went to the same school, different times, but we, you know, we sort of have known each other over the years. And so, and I know how beloved he is. And so those are big shoes to fill. And I'm a big guy anyway. So, but you know, and I had such a great time. I learned so much working at the Muny last summer about myself, like sort of the challenges, of like, you know, like things I just didn't quite, I was like, we were rehearsing outside. We like doing the show outside. Like I had like serious vocal issues the week of the show. All because I didn't quite, you know, I didn't pace myself and understand like how I was using my voice outside in that like rehearsal space. And I was like, oh man, I was like, I am learning about myself and like about what I need to do to like do this, you know? And especially that show too, which is surprisingly vocally demanding for Don with that, some of those like high notes, which are not, you know, typically in my comfort zone, but these guys were all so supportive and awesome. And
You killed it.
Thanks. I had such a great time. I mean, it was so awesome. That moment at the end in front of all those people was just unbelievable, you know.
And Taylor, you know the show, and you knew the theater, and you knew the audience. If people didn't know, Taylor was a Muny teen and has been in an incredible amount of productions, and it's been one of our beloved. So what was that like for you?
Well, I think the thing I love most about theater and theater people is that we're already so accepting of others for the most part. And we know how to tap into empathy because we're stepping into other characters' shoes all the time. And I think Kinky Boots really represents that experience as a whole for me. I mean, it's just been one of my most dearest theater experiences I've ever had. So to bring that to my hometown was just, I mean, I had to beg the Broadway show I was in to let me go do it for a few weeks. And I made it so clear that I have to do this because it's a message that I feel like I really wanted to be a part of bringing to the Midwest, just celebrating anyone for who they are and accepting them for whoever they want to be. And so it was a dream come true for me. I love playing that comedic idiot part. I feel like so much of my career I've tried to play the perfect, pretty part. And so it was fun to tap into an idiot.
I have to say, Paul, what I so admired about your performance was, and I'm sure this wasn't just at the Muny, but there's a lot of Dons in the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who were brought by their wives or girlfriends to see this show.
Mm-hmm.
And what is so brilliant about the writing of the character and your performance in it was it just got everybody to a place where they could open up to everybody's journey on stage.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
I mean, it definitely, there is something very, very relatable about Don's fear, you know, like Don's working from a place of fear and misunderstanding and he needs to be taught how to love, you know, in that moment, you know. And that DB actually told me a really great story about I think it was like in Iowa somewhere, and he was sitting in the back, and there was this guy sitting in front of him who was visibly uncomfortable the whole show and just couldn't really, you know, was having trouble with a lot of the stuff in the show, you know. And then at the end, at the moment when Don comes out in the boots and has his like triumphant moment, this man stood up and turned around to everyone in the audience and was like, "Get up, get up!" Was telling everyone to like get on their feet. and he had come around, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, you know.
I definitely
Yeah.
experienced that every night in the Muny because the show inspired the audience to leave as one. We all came in differently and we left at one as one, which is the hardest thing to do ever. And you all did that. Now I'm getting my producer telling me that I've got to let Taylor go because she's got another obligation.
Oh, jeez. Another interview.
And I have to warn everybody, we're bringing John Scherer in. Good luck to you.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye, Taylor. Mwah, I love your face.
And there he is.
Sure.
How's everybody?
Sharon. Hey, man.
John, do you want to tell everybody?
Are you still at the hotel?
He's still at the Crown Chase Plaza.
Yes, I am.
He is.
I like it here. What can I say?
That's a beautiful frame you have behind you.
Thank you. I was down at the pool in my thong earlier. Anyway.
John, this is the part where you tell everybody else in the cast that the show was really about you and your character. Go ahead.
It's about this factory manager, and he's a little uptight. And he spreads joy wherever he goes.
There you go.
That's what it's about.
I love that story.
But John, what was it for you doing the show, coming in with a lot of people who'd done it before? You had not done the show before.
I had not done the show before. Paul and we commiserated a little bit. I was mostly terrified because everybody knew everything. And fortunately, I was lucky because I had that little notebook that I carry around in the show the whole time. And I just wrote down all of my entrances and exits. And
I didn't know that.
I wrote it all down because, and the thing about the Muny is, having done 7 shows there, thank you. It's always like you don't know that you're going to be able to do it because it's so fast. Yeah. And then the Muny magic happens and it's incredible.
Oh, the Muny magic.
It was a blast. The other really funny thing I remember was Jen Perry in rehearsal, who had done the show for 5 years or since the beginning, and she never remembered anything that she had done. What did I do? No, I didn't do that. Well, that's right. It was hilarious.
I love that. That shows what a good actress she is.
Okay.
She's organic. She's in the moment.
Very.
John, a Christopher Strahan just posted, I just watched John Scherer in By Jeeves. There we go.
Isn't that nice?
That is nice.
Amazing. Yeah, I can't believe more. I think more people saw that video than certainly that ever saw it on Broadway because it only ran for about 3 months. So that was fun. It was a trip down memory lane.
What happened to me? There we go.
Uh-oh.
7-1. And now this is the takeover.
All right, I have a few questions.
Meet me at the Muny.
Let's talk about Mike Isaacson.
You are very quiet and intense when you are rehearsing.
Who?
Jay.
Oh,
it was
you're talking about me.
I was like, what?
But it was interesting watching you. You are a very focused artist when you are rehearsing, piecing it together. I mean, that was my observation of it. It was like even though you knew it, I felt like you were excavating or finding or trying to understand. Is that a fair perception?
Absolutely. Like from the first day to the last day I ever played Lola, I was still learning. And then again, it was mixing, John, Paul, having new people to play with and find a different show and being malleable and being able to create with them and be like, great, okay, you've now affected me to try something new, or you inspired me to, there's a new moment I never felt before. And that was the fun of not only the character of Lola, but the show of Kinky Boots in that factory world. We all were people and we were pretty invested in these characters in such a way that we brought ourselves and how we felt during the day to each character and then like played with each other. And that's what's so fun about it, because it's also not it's not a show like Wicked where it's like, no, we are like this thing and that's what it is. It's like, we're a factory and we're making boots for drag queens. You got to have fun. You can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there was really a sense of, there was such a sense of community on that stage for the entire show, meaning you understood that that was really a town, that these people all knew each other, that all those things you need to make a story make sense were absolutely real. It was very, very moving. I mean, it was interesting, Carolyn, because it was a very different character than you played the last time you had been at the Muny, which was a more musical comedy-ish.
Yeah, totally.
Your pop top, but you were sort of the dramatic. There was no villain, but you sort of had to do a different shade of your talent.
Sure.
Did that throw you, or were you like, let me at it?
Well, I think because I had played the role before, it was actually like, because the last time I worked at the Muny, I did All Shook Up, and I worked really, really hard on like memorizing my lines and learning the show. Whereas like I knew this show, I really kind of just had to adapt to the stage. Like, you know, when I said goodbye to Charlie, I had to turn around and walk 100 feet in heels instead of like 5 feet off the stage. So that was like, so long, Charlie. Step, 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 step. Oh, I'm still walking. Step, step, step. But, I mean, in a silly way. But yes, I think actually back to what I was saying before, is that like we were still doing the same show. We were sharing the same message. When I did my dramatic scene with Graham in Act 2, Jerry Mitchell actually came up to me at opening night and was like, wow, that scene, I've been doing the show on Broadway for like a year and a half. But he came up to me on opening night at the Muny and said, that scene people were really listening. People were really into that scene. And I took that as such a compliment, because it's like, it's a very intimate scene that we have. And it's like, we are breaking up where it's quiet. They're having a fight, but they're in the factory. So it's like intimate between the two of them. And I think it was like really fun to do a dramatic scene where people are leaning forward in a 10,000 seat theater. I mean, it's Muny magic. It's just like the magic of theater. And can you tell how much I miss theater? Oh my gosh, and I cannot wait to get back.
And, you know, just for everybody who's watching, you left us and then you opened, and I think you're still starring in the national tour of Frozen, correct?
I am.
That's been amazing. And what city were you in when we had to all stop?
So we stopped in Portland, Oregon. Okay. And that was back in March, like right around when everything kind of just came to a halt. So, yeah. And we hung out in Portland for a long time, trying to gauge, because none of us really knew how long this would, and then how long this would last. And then once we realized that it was going to be more time, we were like, all right, we got to head back to the East Coast, because we got to be close to our family, because it was just, we were starting to feel really far away.
You know, it's disorienting for everybody. Okay, Carolyn, Paul, and Jay, I'm going to bid you goodbye.
Wow.
John, you're going to
say. Good to see you guys. Love you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you all. Love you all. Be safe, everyone.
And while we are bringing on Jacob, Michael, and Valton, I think we have a video to show, is what we're doing here. right, let's bring on Jacob and Michael and Valton. There's Jacob.
Hey, John. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
It's good to see you guys.
Hey.
Hopefully we'll get a screen. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
See you. There he is.
There he is.
Hey, Valton.
Hey, Val.
Hey.
Hey, Olaribigbe.
Hello, Lacopo.
For everybody who's watching, these three gentlemen were three of Lola's fabulous ladies on stage. So let's start. First, everybody, Jacob, let's start with you. Where are you and how are you? And for our Muny audience to know, you've been a part of our family in several shows.
Yeah.
So where are you?
I'm nearby the Muny. I'm in Troy, Illinois, just across the river, and with my family, and I'm doing well, really well. Yeah.
Great. Michael, how are you? Where are you? We got you.
I am. Hi, I'm in Augusta, Maine, visiting a friend while we quarantine. I'm doing good.
And Valton, how are you? Where are you?
I'm good. I'm here in Georgia, quarantining with my mom and my brother.
Now, I know you just probably spent hours of therapy of what you had to endure working with John Scherer.
Every time.
Jacob.
What I want from each of you is your primary memory of doing the show at Muny. Michael, I'm going to start with you.
I feel okay. My favorite memory of doing the show was opening night. After we did the finale, and I remember, I mean, like, I never cried of happiness before my whole entire life. And I remember, like, running off, like, oh my God, we did it, like, so quickly, like, we did it. And then I remembered that I was in, like, 6-inch heels, and I was like, well, be careful. So that was my favorite memory.
Jacob, how about you?
Just, you know, like, I think it was the feeling on opening night where both the merge of doing Kinky Boots for the first time after seeing it when I was at my senior showcase while it was in previews on Broadway. I have my Kinky Boots lottery button from then, a memory. And so wanting to do the show for so long because it had such an impact on me. Finally, and at the Muny, of all places, my first show at the Muny was in 2001 when I was a little kid. To step out on that stage on opening night and do Kinky Boots for the first time and to be standing in heels on the Muny stage was such a culmination of lots of feelings and experiences for me. So it meant a lot, and at the Muny, no less. Wow.
Valton, how about you?
Oh, well, I always love the rehearsal process of any show that I'm in. It's always my favorite part. It's just like doing the show is obviously really fun, but rehearsals. And specifically, I remember the first time we were out there in the outside like rehearsal space and we were doing Land of Lola. And I remember all the other angels were like, y'all just wait. When we enter, everyone's going to be like, yes, angels, and like living for it. And we were like, oh, okay, cool, you know. But like when we actually like went out there and it was like la la and everyone was like yeah, like all the like Muny teams and everyone was like screaming. I was like, we haven't even did anything yet. We're just walking around. It was so fun. It was really fun.
Amazing.
Check my memory on this, but you know, last year was the first year with the new stage and all the new toys. And didn't we bring you guys out of the pit lifts?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah, so I think DB and Rusty had that genius notion. So the audience saw you guys kind of as shadows, these things emerging before it was really clear. And then they were like, oh my word.
Yes.
They always do that when John Scherer walks on stage.
Well, I was going to say, when George makes it, it's the same thing. I mean...
We put you on lifts, John. I don't think we did. Did we?
Well, in Cinderella we did, but not in Kinky Boots.
Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
So, Michael, you are a college. Did you graduate? I can't. Where did I track you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. I just graduated from UCF. Woo woo. Yeah, during this whole quarantining.
Wow.
Yeah, during this whole quarantining fiasco. So I had my little online commencement in my party with my family. And yeah.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
When you talk about the audience going nuts, and they did for Lola's Angels, I mean, they truly did. They were in awe. Like, they couldn't take their eyes off you. They were trying to figure out, and literally for the 2 weeks after you left, the number one question I got was, how did they dance in those boots? So, how did you dance in those boots?
Those are some nice boots.
Really great.
Real good boots. Well made. From, what is it? T.O. Day, a designer in New York City, and the whole show custom fit boots for and like the entire principal cast and ensemble came out in them at the end. Yeah, they were some nice shoes. Not easy, and the Muny stage, the new stage, is a little raked, so that was a whole new moment when you stepped out on the stage in tech and started to wobble in your heels.
Yeah,
I heels.
I mean, truly, was it scary, or were you like, oh, we can do this, we got this? Valton.
Oh yeah.
I was never really scared, honestly, and like I've been in heels before, just like playing around for like a party or like a dress up or something. But this was my first show that I was like for real, like choreography, like dancing in heels. And I honestly wasn't scared. Like once you get over the fact that, oh, I'm dancing in heels and you just go for it, you're fine, because like Jacob said, like the shoes were all so well made. They were like specifically like constructed, like designed for like men to dance in them. Like, so it was really, really easy. I was never scared. And it was like, and we had Rusty and everyone who was like really like supportive of us because we were like the new angels. So like, it took their time. Like Ian was like the best dance captain ever. Like he was like really good about like giving pointers of like how to do a bot mop properly when you're wearing like, a 5-inch stiletto or whatever. So no, I was never scared. It was great. Just went for it and had a good time.
They gave us the shoes from the very start of the rehearsal process as well. So that set us up for success.
Yeah. We had lots of time to practice everything.
Also, I remember a very beautiful moment, Jacob, you talk about your button, because when you were at your audition, I remember, and you were just killing it, and Rusty turned to me and said, I'm finally going to be able to cast him in this show. And he was so excited that this happened for you, that you could do this show. I remember that distinctly in the midst of all those hundreds of people. It was like, Jacob's now going to do this show.
Mm-hmm. Rusty and I got to have that moment one night, during the rehearsal process as well, where he got to say, I'm so glad to finally put you in this show. And I was like, I'm so glad to finally do this show. And at the Muny, it was, yes.
Amazing. All right, Jacob, Valton, and Michael, I'm going to bid you adieu. John, it's like the Mike English show. You're staying. You're my Ed McMahon.
Make them laugh. Make them laugh.
Michael, congratulations. Congratulations.
Hi, John. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. All right, we're going to bring in Ricky Schroeder, Ian Fitzgerald, and Joey Taranto. Are they here? Yay!
Hi, guys.
Hey, John Scherer.
Hi.
Welcome to the John Scherer Show.
Hi.
Oh, my God.
My favorite show.
Good to see you. Let's start, Ian, with you. Where are you? How are you?
Hunkered down in New York City. I'm good. I'm happy and healthy, so I can't complain.
Great. Ricky?
I'm on Fire Island. I've been here. Mike and I were doing a reading of Becoming Nancy when it all went down, and we finished our very last day and then immediately just came out here to get out of it all and have been here ever since.
Wow. Joey, where and how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in New York City. My fiance and I were at our friend's lake house up in New Hampshire for like a month when this first happened. But, you know, they say like house guests, after about 3 days, it's like dairy, it starts to smell. So after a month, it was very polluted. So we were ready to get back into our own space. I'm joking. Our friend was it was wonderful. But yeah, in New York, happy, healthy.
Amazing. All right. So I don't know if you could hear the conversation before, but, you know, those Lola's Angels just are stunning. What you accomplished, it's truly stunning. Like, the audience is in awe of that. Now, all three of you have had a long journey with the show, right? Is my understanding. So share with us sort of the experience of creating those specific characters. Because one of the things is, you guys just weren't an amorphous blob. They were all individual ladies with personalities and quirks, where you created whole dramas within scenes. I'm just fascinated in that. Ian, let's start with you. You've got a big history. How was that created?
Yeah, I was very, very lucky. I joined the national tour out of college, and Jay was actually my Lola. And he graciously took me under his wing, which is in the drag culture, the drag mama situation, and helped me do makeup as they do in the show. You have somebody who helps with makeup, helps with wigs, costumes, and as we all know, it's a big community. But you walk in the heels, and then as soon as you like get the wigs and the costume on, you start to become your like superhero self. And then a name follows. They all called me Bubbles. So I was like Bubbles on tour. And then you get like different alter egos. And so it's interesting. And again, I did about 1.5, 2 years on the road. I had a year off in between, and then I closed out the Broadway show. I closed out both companies. So I think if you ever see me join a company, everybody should be worried, because as soon as I get there, it's just not a good situation. But I had almost 4 years to do it, and then to do it on the Muny stage was awesome. And I always joked with my friends, and again with Jay, that I finally was on a stage that was my sized, just because I'm a huge human being. And then in heels and a wig, I'm huge. And so I think it just happens naturally. Jerry writes in the description, or whoever writes that description, is the angels aren't wallflowers. And so everyone you work with kind of just promotes you to be yourself. And we're fun and fabulous. And then you kind of get to be fierce at the same time. And we came from the floor for 1,000 people. So it was finally like the inner kid getting to play on the football team and like be at the Super Bowl. So it was the best. Yeah.
Amazing. Ricky, how about you?
Well, I think you have an idea of who your angel is going to be in rehearsal, but you don't really know until you're in drag for the first time and you see yourself and you're like, oh, I'm that girl. Like, it's just like whatever magic that makeup and the wigs and the costume does for you. I think that so helps inform at least me, like, who she was. And, you know, when I did the tour for 1.5 years, and when you do something that long, you get time to like go further into moments and your character and what they're doing, which was great for doing the Muny when everything is so fast and furious and get it together so I think even though it had been a couple years since I'd done the show at the Muny, but still those moments and that character, it like came right back in. And then what was fun about it too is I don't think I had done the show with anyone except for Jay, and I know there was at least one other person, but most of the people in the show I had not been in the same company with. So even though I had created this sultry, sexy, silly girl, I was able to find new moments with everyone that I didn't have before, which allowed even further investigation over to who Ginger was, even though Ginger was no longer a ginger in this production because Joe is still my redheaded wigs.
Don't be hating. Don't be hating.
Oh, wait a second. I think we have a photo of all of you at the Muny to show. I just got sent that. There you go. That.
And all the glory.
Oh, my.
Look at so many of us.
Seriously.
Very subtle on stage.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. All right, Joey, before you go, I have a confession to make. So.
Oh, okay.
I did not see you all in your outfits till Tech Night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you made your entrance on that pit lift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were sort of holding and stuff. So I go to the edge just to check in, see how everybody's doing talking. And I'm talking. I didn't know who was who. And I'm literally faking my way through conversations. And I was freaked out, Ricky, because I don't know, I've known you like for 5-7 years, however long it's been. And I literally walked away. I was like, I don't know which one's Ricky. I don't know who's in that. It was wild. I mean, it just, because it was so its own thing. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
Joe, tell us how you developed your angel.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be in the original cast of Kinky Boots. I left for a little while and came back. So what was great is that we were sort of encouraged from the get-go to just be dummies in the best possible way. You know, I mean, Jerry was so great because he created a safe space for us to be like, to just try whatever we wanted. And if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't work, he'd let you know. And also, I had worked with a couple of the people in the cast before, and we all sort of encourage each other. So and Ricky's so right, because the minute anyone gets in drag, everything changes. And really, whoever that drag queen is inside you comes out. And I'll tell you one thing, though. I'd never worked at the Muny. I'd always wanted to work at the Muny. And I called it Kinky Boots on steroids because it was just so huge. And I realized, too, because the house is so huge, that I'm already pretty big on stage, but I realized, I have to be even bigger so I can get to the back of the house, you know? So yeah, when I came there, my character was pretty developed.
So, Scherer, have you ever done drag on stage?
Yeah, Scherer.
Yeah, I did La Cage aux Folles.
Ah.
Yeah. About 10 years ago.
Everybody's wanting to know, the question's coming from our viewers. They want to know what your drag, what each of your own drag name was. What was your character's names?
Mine was given to me, sorry, mine was given to me by Kyle Post, who was also in the production. He called me Pterodactyl because of my giant arms. So I was Pterodactyl.
I was Ginger, just Ginger. Because on tour, I had the redhead wigs, and I'm a redhead in real life, so that was my very creative answer to what my drag name was.
I was Bubbles when I first joined, and then throughout my progression and feeling a little bit like cute when I got on stage, some of my sisters would call me Sissy Shantae. So I was Bubbles and Sissy Shantae, depending upon the performance.
And I was Ada Buffet, which is appropriate in quarantine because, I mean...
Actually, John, a lot of the audience members are asking, how much is John Scherer eating in quarantine?
Oh my God, I can't stop. It's the sugar.
I know.
I don't care about French fries or chips. I just want to eat a cookie.
I know. It's tough. Don't.
Okay.
A couple questions are, how long did it take you each night to do hair and makeup and get yourself ready?
Go ahead, Joey.
I was going to say Ian, though. Ian, I'm waiting for Ian, because Ian got there. Ian was there at 6 a.m., like, just taking her time. We were always giving her good, you know, it really depends. Like, we've all been with the show for a long time, so you really figure out, like, if you are in a time crunch, you figure out how to do 20-minute drag and still look good. And then there are some times that you're like, I have more time, so you come in early and you can sit and you want to chit-chat with everybody, and it's just a fun room. So some people, I personally love an hour before the show starts to just sit back. I'm Southern. I don't like to be rushed. So I like to sit back and listen to some music and chit chat and I generally took an hour.
Great.
Yeah, I like to be in the makeup chair an hour before half hour. So I have that hour before half hour is called to do my makeup. Then at half hour is usually when I get wigs and everything else on, and then do touch-ups and stuff. And I think I remember, I don't know, we were first getting our like call times and stuff and van times, and I saw what time we were being called, and I was like, that's not enough time. That's not enough time to get our makeup up. But they need to know we need more time. This doesn't happen in 5 minutes, people. This gorgeousness.
You don't just wake up, Elizabeth Taylor.
Exactly.
Ian?
For me, Joey jokes, but I like a nice dressing room situation to sit down, to put my lunch, a Sprite, a ginger ale. But no, if I had to do a face, what Joey was talking about, you can do a face in 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I always like to be there around what Ricky said, like an hour, hour and a half before half hour, because when I get my wig on, I like to then go stretch for a half hour rather than having to touch up makeup.
Good. And John, when did you stride in?
Let's see, the show started at what time did the show start?
8:15.
Yeah, 8:13. That was pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good to see all of you. We're so grateful for what you created for us at the Muny. It's just a memory everybody there cherished. And you know, after the show and you know after the season, when I'd run into people, they would just look at me and they'd go, "Kinky Boots," and it was like, "Yeah, Kinky Boots." You know, it just you gave them such a great gift. It just was a special night. So thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this little jamboree.
Thank you so much.
You're safe and healthy, and it fills my heart to see all of you in many ways. Everybody who's been watching, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next Monday with, I think, the cast of Guys and Dolls. Good. And I think we have a playoff. We're going to raise you up. Here we go. That's how we're going to end.
It's time for us to get back to work, but before we go, we'd like to leave you with the price and Simon, secret to success.
Now, we've all heard of the 12-step program, have we not? But I want you to know what you can do in 12, we all can do in 6. Yeah, and it goes like this. 1, pursue the truth. Come on. 2, learn something new.